I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes, definitely.
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
To cover up our mistakes.
I've met people who swear they've seen Bigfoot.
Join us for a journey into the obscure.
You are now listening to The Wow Pod.
I got 2 babies tonight, though. I can't have a beer.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, so another week in quarantine and all that good stuff. Hope everyone's holding up all right. I'd like to think that I'm doing okay, but that remains to be seen. We got some news tonight, and then Betsy's bringing us a story. She's surprising me with it as well. I haven't dug into this, so we get to hear the oddity that Betsy has.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So you want me to start first with my news?
Yeah, let's have you start with your news, and then I've got 2 stories. Sounds good.
Mine comes to you from the New York Daily.
Okay.
So this reporter is not in New York. From what I understand, she's a reporter out of KCRA TV in Sacramento.
Okay.
But these reporters are trying to get interesting in the way that they're reporting on life in quarantine. And so they're often doing them remotely from home or locations near their home, like their backyard and such. They're trying to give a good image that they're continuing to quarantine.
Yes.
So there's been a lot in the media and on social media about people and haircuts. Apparently, it's a really big deal. I have done probably, for my family, the last 400 haircuts. So for me, this isn't a big deal. I cut my kids' hair. I trim my own hair and my daughter's hair. I cut my husband's hair. But for a lot of people, apparently, not being able to get a haircut is a big deal. So this reporter was doing a segment about trimming the hair during quarantine or during this pandemic. And it got a little steamy, as it's reported, because in the background, it appears as though her husband unknowingly slips into the shower.
Okay. So
How do you not know? Unless she's recording from her phone.
He walks into the shower while she's recording, or he's already in there and she starts recording?
I'm not sure, because it doesn't give us like a full-on clip here, but it appears as though he may have already been in there.
So
and
she walks in there to record while he's showering, and
and it looks like he kind of goes to leave and then ducks back away. It's too late. We've already seen your goods, man.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Now we're talking about a different type of hair cutting.
Yes. Now we need to get into the Brazilian wax approach to the quarantine coronavirus pandemic.
Come on now. We've talked about this before with that Jessica Yaniv person about wanted the waxers to hit. They would need a literal runway to wax a gentleman's goods. They would be walking away, and then when the paper finally lets loose, you've got 2 forces stretched to their limits, going back to where they were. We're talking.
It'd be like a bomb went off.
Well, it's a slingshot. It's that slingshot effect. The step jewels be coming back at the guy at max velocity, honestly.
So I don't know if it's the pressure of like having to record at home.
Well,
I wouldn't say I'm under a lot of pressure, but I don't think our segments are live enough that, if my husband wandered by in the nude, that we couldn't like cut it out.
Yeah, they are not live at all. Also, This is how we started. We don't have a set, and then our market collapses and we're trying to figure it out from there. We were playing with this remote chatting, probably episode 3 when we talked about the Ouija board, and I was down in Arizona, So this
That's right.
is what we've been doing, and yes, we're continually making slow improvements on our equipment, but until that point, we just kind of throw some masking tape on it and run. Do the
Right. And I feel bad for her, but I mean, if nothing else,
if he's in the shower and she goes in there to talk about it, I have no bad feelings for her. One, she didn't care about her husband. She didn't care what he.
I mean, your family doesn't know what you're doing. When I record, I go around and say, okay, kids, I'm going to record.
Yep.
I need you to be quiet. I can't get you cereal. No, I will not interject if the PlayStation doesn't work. You need to be self-maintained. I mean, even I do that.
Yeah, I'm going to be an hour. You'll be all
Yeah.
right. Well, it's not just
Yeah.
that, but if he was already in the shower, what is she doing going in there to record? She could have talked about haircutting with a window as her backdrop. 2,
Yeah.
if he didn't go in to get in the shower, if he wasn't in the shower previously and just walked in, then she should have locked the door and he should have paid attention to what she was doing. But,
And 3, what if it wasn't her husband at all?
oh my gosh, that'd be the story. Man catches wife cheating when wife has, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting story. Quarantine life, it's changing for all of us. I'm a terrible French teacher. I think I've mentioned that. I'm a terrible French teacher. You should not allow me to destroy all the hard work you beautiful French-speaking teachers have done to my children.
Yeah, how come it doesn't seem like teachers are using very much of this media available to us? The Zoom and the Skype and the.
I think there's a learning curve. I think that the teachers are trying to, instead of.
I want to point at the teachers and say, I don't care if there's a learning curve. I'm doing it. This
Yeah.
almost evolved ape is doing it. So
Yeah. I think that what they're trying to do is, if I could put money on it, they're not giving our teachers, whom I adore, the latitude to make that decision on their own. I would bet it's stuck in the quagmire of our education system on what we should use and what should be the login and what time of day.
Then what are the teachers doing right now? Are they just sitting home and then once a week?
I get videos every day. I get videos, or my children get videos every day that the teachers have recorded. It's either a lesson video and then a worksheet, or a reading. The teachers are reading a book to them, and then they have to answer comprehension questions. So we get these videos. The teachers are reaching out, but it's ad hoc. It's a little of this and a little more of that. And let me tell you, when the French teacher, because it's an immersion program, she doesn't send me a video in English that says these are the instructions. She prattles on in full-on French. I'm telling you, it's going to be for her very much like if I had sent my kids to learn in Louisiana for an entire year. They're going to come back, and it's not going to sound at all like it did before I touched their French.
Yeah.
But we're making it work, and I think if we see in the fall, I'm praying they won't do that. I think that my views of the virus are quickly shifting to just kind of an understanding that we have to learn to live with it. It's here. In however many or small it is, it's still here. And we need to get back to life. So I hope they include school in that, because I believe in herd immunity for certain things. I'm not sure if it applies to this yet,
Well, I've
but
heard
it's
them
still
say
here.
some people say we need to have a shutdown for the whole until 2021.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
we need to find those people and throw them in a cage and throw them in a loony bin. They need to be in a straitjacket because
What we need to do is
that will
find a
kill-
state
that
that
will
is willing to accommodate that,
yeah.
and we need to make a mass exodus and say, go.
I'd say-
You want that? Go. Do it
I'd
there.
say the state of the insane asylum would be for that, because imagine the death toll then.
Yeah.
What do you do with
Yeah.
millions of bodies dying all at once? I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, we're getting off subject. We want to talk about happy stuff. All right.
Yeah.
This comes out of the Knoxville News. Knoxville, Tennessee. So there is hold on, I'm getting this all set up. I'm coming through. Okay. So in Knoxville, this report came out on April 23rd. A Knoxville man is behind bars after a pair of domestic incidents Tuesday led to his arrest. Darren Craig Whaley is facing domestic assault and false imprisonment charges after officers were called twice on Tuesday. They were called to an apartment on the 1500 block of Daylily Drive in South Knoxville. A woman claiming to be Whaley's girlfriend called 911 around 1:30 in the morning after a verbal altercation over another female at the residence turned physical. Okay, it's getting kind of weird.
Okay.
When Knoxville police officers arrived on the scene, the woman said she had been hit across the face by Whaley and that the suspect had left the residence. Officers were called back by the woman a second time around 9:45 p.m. when she returned to the residence to retrieve her keys, and Whaley was there. Officers attempted to serve a warrant for his arrest. Now it gets weird. Officers heard several women inside the residence scream for help, and so they broke into the apartment. According to the incident report, Whaley hid in an upstairs bedroom with several guns. He was taken into custody without incident after being threatened with sending up the canine unit. Okay. Whaley had multiple women. Now, they don't report on this report. It doesn't say how many women, but multiple women like trapped in his apartment. He had been kidnapping them and trapping them in there. And I'm wondering if his girlfriend wasn't in on it.
Well, you would think that would be what she would go to the police for.
Oh, man. Oh, well, yeah, he slapped me. There's a couple of more severe things going on there. He's
Right. Yeah.
kidnapping
So
women and throwing them in there.
clearly she had knowledge of it. I mean, you could hear them.
Well, if she didn't have knowledge of it, then well, she's not very good.
Well,
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay, I've got one more story. Now, this one I've been holding out for the end of the news stories because this is hands down the best story to come out of 2020. This is
it.
I have to say that because of this, I like the COVID incident. So
Okay, let's hear it.
Mayor Bill de Blasio came on and made an announcement that he's starting a tattletale site or something
Where you can go tell on people?
If you see people gathered or businesses open or, the free movement of human beings, you can take a picture of them and send it to NYC 311, the Tattletale texting app. Now,
Stop it.
Yeah, he did. But what do you think the 311 app got?
Probably nudes.
An avalanche of cock. An 311 got this from all over the world. I'm telling the poor guy that had to run that thing. I'll bet
His eyes are just bloody.
no,
No.
he had to call a nuclear powered water heater to shower every night. He's probably red as a lobster. Just an avalanche of cock. Nothing but penis as far as, that poor bastard.
That is fantastic.
There were some crank complaints, but overwhelmingly penis.
Oh,
People took Bill de Blasio, his recordings where he's talking. They took it,
Bill,
put it on their computers and threw a Hitler mustache on him and then sent that to him.
Oh,
Bill de Blasio, he got hammered. And I hope that I hope this is kind of a warning to that
I hope he got the message.
Evil. Well, I shouldn't call them evil. They probably think they're doing good things, but they're not. You're not doing good when we're not ants. We're human beings. We can't be corralled and controlled and everything else. Things start to break at the seams. Even China's finding out you can't do this stuff. And if they can't do it in China, they can't do it anywhere. I mean, North Korea can, but that's just because they kill people dead all the time. Summary execution on your front lawn. But you just can't. We're a different species, Yeah. Could you imagine that poor guy getting it? You're sitting there. The computer goes ding. Oh,
yeah, I got one. Oh, no.
And ding. And pretty soon he's shaking as he reaches for the mouse. He's got sweat beating down his forehead. It's just, oh man, penis in all.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. The Tattletale texting app. All right. Well, let's get on with Betsy's show.
Okay. So before we get started,
okay,
I want to take us into an audio clip. Play the first one, the Yanni Laurel clip.
Yanni Laurel.
I think everyone has heard this. Have you heard this?
Well, yeah, everyone's had to hear it.
Everyone's heard this.
Yeah.
What do you hear?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm playing it now, and you want to know what I hear?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's do this.
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
All I hear is Laurel.
Okay, so now I want you to say the word Yanni.
Yanni.
And then play it again. Yanni.
Say Yanni. Yanni.
Yanni.
Laurel. 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 Laurel.
I still just hear Laurel.
So that's how it was with me. But the controversy is half of the population hears Yanni.
Really?
It's almost exactly half. Hear only Yanni. And this particular recording, it was an accident. There was a research student who just happened across this in a digital version and pressed the listen button and was like, well, I hear Yanni, but it's supposed to be saying Laurel. So every single talk show, every country, every celebrity, even the White House did a video on this particular
I remember
word.
we talked about that.
So there's a couple of conspiracies that surround the
Ooh.
Laurel, Yanni,
Do I need a tinfoil hat for this?
digital. Well, one of them is just your basic, look over here, distraction. So I kind of was like, well, I guess that would work because, it came out in May of 2018. During that particular month, there was the Ebola outbreak in the Congo. There were mass shootings in Australia. There was the knife attack in Paris. The plane crashes in Cuba. The bus crash in Uganda. There was a shooting in Belgium. There was a ton of stuff. I mean, major world events, there was one every day in the month of May 2018. So distraction, I guess, would work. However, let's talk about this next clip. Play number 2.
Okay.
Play it and then stop it.
Okay.
And then play the beginning again.
Okay.
Now stop.
All
Now
right.
rewind it and play that again.
Okay.
The juice of lemons makes fine punch.
Yeah, it sounds like they're running her voice through distortion.
So when you first hear it, you can't hear the juice of lemons makes fine punch.
Okay.
You just hear gibberish.
Let me play
But
that.
then when they tell you what's in it, you then, I suddenly hear it.
So when people listen to those ghost recorders, that's what they're able to decipher this easier than, say, me.
It's the power of subliminal, or it's the power of suggestion. But the conspiracy.
Do you think that was actually said and they distorted it, or do you think that they heard those noises and then pulled that out of it?
Play the next clip. This one is an actual, she's saying it and they distorted it.
Okay. All right. So
what you'll hear is a sentence, a spoken sentence that's been transformed by a computer to sound like gibberish. So any idea what they said?
No.
Okay.
it was
Can you hear
R2D2.
it one more time? Okay, now we'll hear the real sentence.
The Constitution Center is at the next stop.
No, okay, yeah.
Yeah, wait, was that the same?
It was the exact same sentence that you heard.
So what these particular audio clips, the Yanni Laurel, the lemon one, and this one show us is that our brains don't just rely on what we're hearing, but also what's being told to us.
So it's kind of a pattern recognition thing.
Right. And they're audio illusions is what they're called. So for instance, this next clip I'm going to have you play is the sound keeps going up.
The sound keeps
But it's just an audio illusion. So play the next one.
Okay. So it just gives the impression that it gets louder and louder.
So that gives the impression that it's going up an octave. It's going up in octave.
Okay.
But it's not.
It's
It's an audio illusion.
A higher sound.
Right.
Okay.
So it's an audio illusion. Now, the next one, and this kind of brings me to the conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory is that the government has been, because we know that they have. For instance, they have deterrent tones, for example, that they play that will absolutely send people screaming out. Say, if you're locked in your house if they play these, they call them deterrent tones, they'll almost make your ears bleed. So you'll do anything to get away from them. They also have these sound bombs, and these sound bombs they're loud enough and the frequencies are just right that they can actually cause an air embolism in your lungs that then travels to your heart and will kill you.
Are we talking brown note?
Could be a brown note. I doubt it. So they've had this technology. They've been working on it for, I don't know, years and years.
Uh-huh.
So the next clip I sent to you.
Okay, and this is the sounds that only kids can hear.
Yes. This is the idea that these sounds or these particular frequencies, like the Yanni and Laurel, may be being put into use in children's cartoons, in pop culture, in the music. And there's several instances where you'll see these high frequency sounds that are in videos and music videos that the adults in the room can't hear.
Okay.
So I tried this next one with my kids. Play it and see if you hear anything.
All right. I'm not hearing anything.
So when I played that clip, my little guy, my youngest, was like, "Mom, that hurts my ears." My dog went completely nuts, and Grace come running in out of the other room and said, "What are you doing? That is annoying."
Really? Now,
and I didn't hear any of it.
Now, I have to say, I do have significant hearing loss, so I wouldn't be a good judge of any of that.
And I don't. My hearing's actually pretty good.
Yeah, mine's
But
not.
what they say is that children under 20 can hear things in patterns that are set at a higher frequency than aging people or older people can, based on a lot of factors, but most of them is just hearing loss, that slow decline in our ability to hear.
In your ear, just slowly, like when you're younger, you have more of it?
Yes. So there were a couple of pretty popular music selections that I pulled up, where I thought they said one thing, but if you change the frequency, they say something very different.
Like that Blinded by the Light song?
No, that's just because you don't know the lyrics. That's different. This was more like
that song was about feminine hygiene products.
There is a song that's pretty freaking popular. It's Meet in the Middle. There is one particular verse in that song where it's supposed to say, where I thought it always said she's a paper chaser, kind of like she's chasing the money. But if you change the frequency just a touch, it says horrible language.
Really?
She's a F-word slut is what it says.
Really? It goes from she's a paper chaser to she's a thing slut?
Yes.
That's a big change. And that
there's
all fits in that age range?
Yes. So there's a couple like that. So the idea.
Well, it's not like
this,
like by the light.
No. Wake up with the blah, 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 dinner. No, it's not because we don't know the lyrics.
Wake up with the douche and something else. I was always like,
yeah,
it's kind of a weird song. But
yeah. So
as deuce and so
what what if the people in power understand? Obviously we have sound weapons. They understand frequency. They understand that the younger people can hear. It's scientific knowledge that they all have. What if the people in power are making what I like to call sound vaccinations? where they inoculate you a little bit at a time at a very young age to become accustomed to certain phrases. It's kind of like the Communist Party or the indoctrination of communist people in, you know, the way that they do particular things, you know?
Yeah.
What if the people in power are making these sound inoculations and giving them to the youth a little bit at a time?
Ooh, they could be.
With phrases and thoughts and things that we would have no idea.
We first have to ask is, do lizards hear in those octaves? That's a first.
Right. Because there's another theory,
Mm-hmm.
and the listeners can go out and find the videos on this, but do you know who Post Malone is?
Yeah, I don't know any of his songs. I know he's quite popular right now.
Right. So if you take
From
any
Utah,
of Post Malone's,
isn't he
if
from?
you take any of, well, he lives here now, but he's not from here. He moved here to live a quieter life.
Where's he from?
He's from California, Southern California.
Okay.
So, but there's videos, very popular videos out there on YouTube where they literally they can take anything Post Malone sings, drop it 3 octaves, and you have Justin Bieber.
Really? Wow.
And it's
Post Malone is Justin
scary.
Bieber. Justin Malone. Post Bieber.
Yeah. What if neither of them actually exist?
Oh.
What if they're AI and they're just using
They're just
the same voice? Just drop it a couple octaves.
They've got those holograms of Michael Jackson and Prince and who knows who else, right?
Yeah.
So
And there's a big conspiracy around Sony, and it's mostly circulating around the K-pop genre.
Yeah.
These K-pop, it's Korean hip hop is what it is. But
I know what K-pop is.
So these K-pop kids have gone on record. You know, of course, they disappear or they're dropped from the label directly after, as saying that they're slaves.
They're groomed for years, so they try out for it a lot like the boy and girl bands were here in in the 90s and early 2000s, like the NSYNC and all that. And those were actually, you tried out to be on this band. It's not like a group of guys got together and said, "Hey, let's do this." So they try out for it, and then if you get awarded that because you're pretty or whatever, then you go into, like, usually it's like a year-long training, and you're not trying out for a specific band. You're trying out to be a part of this like modeling agency, and this modeling agency builds a band. Once a group of 5 of the 20 in the group, that every day they go through like choreography, dancing stuff, and vocal lessons, and how to dress and how to flip your. I don't know what pretty people do. I'm kept out of that, but I'm sure, you know, walk around with books on your head, all the tropes. They go through all those, and then when however many they want, and these songs are probably pre-written and pre-designed, then these people just kind of show up and fill that niche, and they usually, you know, they make it rich. They do good. Now, would I think they're slaves? I doubt they're slaves any more than like NSYNC was slaves. But in a way,
so
but
what they claim,
you're reliant on what you're doing to keep your lifestyle that you built in the time that you've done it.
What they claim is that once they get past this 1 year long boot camp, so to speak, that they're paid like $7 a day to go on tour. And these kids, if you watch these videos, They work them 15, 16 hours a day. They're just passing out on stage all the time, just like falling out on stage. Now, Prince talked about this. Now, to give props to Prince, he actually wrote in Sharpie on his chest "slave" for one of his concerts, and that was against Sony Entertainment, because Sony Entertainment is behind a lot of these boy band boot camps. And he said that what they do is they disenfranchise these kids. They take all of their money, and then when they leave with nothing. They don't have any savings. They're flat broke.
What was that one girl's name that came out a few years back? She was a girl. She's since like disappeared, but she had that one song that made it big. Didn't she sue like her production company because they were kind of taking everything?
Well, and look at Britney Spears. I think I know who you're talking about. I'll have to do some research, but look at Britney Spears. Her first album, she wasn't with Sony. And it was, her first album was light and happy. Her second album, she signed with Sony.
She was like a teen girl then.
Yeah. And her second album, number 2, the second track on her second album, she actually wrote a song called "Slave." And then she wrote another song about a young pop star.
I'm a Slave for You song?
No, it's not. It's about being a literal slave to the media. Then she wrote another song on that same album about a young pop star who basically gave her life over to get a label. Wow. And Britney kind of lost her shit.
No,
we don't remember.
Britney has been a paragon of common sense and moderated action.
So Michael Jackson spoke out about Sony, and then he died of a drug overdose. Ooh. Prince spoke out against Sony. He died of a drug overdose. Mariah Carey was, according to her, held a prisoner in her home by her producer at Sony. And she literally has had to get 24-hour around-the-clock bodyguards because she's afraid that they're going to kill her. So it's an interesting thought to me that maybe there's more happening behind the scenes with the frequency and the music and the way that it's all computer generated now. Nobody ever sings.
So what you're saying is, what
if it's a sound vaccine?
When lizards start a record company.
Yep.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, interesting. My next one, for the sake of this particular, I'm going to bring you lots of these are like more pop culture or more modern culture conspiracy theories. Has to do with 23andMe.
Oh, that's the genetic test to see where you're from.
Yeah. So 23andMe, on its website, just talks about this is a fun, easy way to find out where you're from, on and on and on. However, in the beginning, one of their spokesperson said, "We don't want to sell these kits forever. This is all about the data collection." So what do you mean? What do you mean you don't want to sell these kits?
Do they think
isn't this for fun?
Do they think they get enough people to where they have enough of a genome pattern that they can track us? Or
well, I'll tell you this:
they got the largest, the Golden State Killer is through a
the largest contributor to the FBI's database, taking it more to it's more than 3.4% of the humans alive on the planet. They have their DNA, and that is because of 23andMe. So,
now I told the Army took my DNA when I was in, but that was supposedly for fatal identification.
Right, and let's talk about the amount of DNA that they took.
Okay.
Because a big thing about 23andMe.
There was a card about yay big, and you had to fill out your name in these block squares.
Mm-hmm.
The computer could read it, and then it had 4 dots on it. And they pricked your finger, and you had to touch your finger to all 4 dots. And it left a blood mark on it, I don't know, about the size of a dime.
So at a crime scene, which is generally the only way that involuntary you're put into the FBI database is if you leave some behind. It's going to be trace amounts.
That reminds me of Joe de Blasio's dick pic site, because you know that is the poor bastard that runs that is in an avalanche of semen, just semen and public hair. The FBI special agent, I'm dropping off some DNA. He's like, oh, fine.
We know.
Like puts one glove on, another one, and then another one, and he's got these layers. His hands move like bear claws because there's so many rubber gloves on there. He carries it like this, drops it in the thing. It's
so
demon is just nothing but.
23andMe came out in the beginning. They said, this is for you. This is for fun. This is to trace your ancestry. Mm-hmm. But then a spokesperson said, no, we're not really interested in selling kits. It's the data collection that we're most interested in. But the amount of DNA that they collect from you is obscene. Like, you have to spit into this vial. And they're storing this DNA.
Ooh, so there's a bastard that works there. All day long, boxes come in. This is a show about avalanches of body fluids and parts. All day, a box comes in, and he's like, and just, that kind of stomach.
The very first thing I thought was
a hair.
Right. The very first thing I thought was, well, what could you do with all of this DNA? And it turns out there's actually quite a lot, especially if you're young, which they do target really young audiences. The way they have sold 23andMe is by getting young influencers like YouTube influencers and Instagram influencers, and they've sent them free kits with like this PR that says, see where you're from, put it on your show. And that's how they've pushed it out. They've pushed it out to a very young audience.
If they sent us a kit, how would you do that? Would you spit in it and send it back? Or
no?
You know what I think?
That's what they want you to do, but no, I wouldn't.
Would I try to get my dog to drool in it? Or would I try to find a homeless vagrant to spit in it?
So let's talk about data collection, because that kind of sent me down.
What if they?
Okay, so if there are many uses for this DNA, and one of them is there's a pretty large study happening right now with DNA and regards to aging or reverse aging. Turns out our DNA ages just like we do. And the particular strands, they're every time our cells split, they become less and less and less elastic, and you lose
the things on the end called tannins.
So
what
they want to have a really good DNA profile that can be used for, say, I don't know, reverse aging, it has to be young. So 23andMe is targeting a very young audience. Additionally, I did some research on the cloning applications, and it also has to be young. So, okay, all right, they're collecting a lot of DNA, but let's talk about the data collection. Who is the largest data collector, bar none?
Google.
Google,
Yep.
bar none. At the end of the day, Google has intercepted and transmitted data and broke it down and used it to advertise more than anyone else.
Yeah, on Google, you're the product. You're
Now, yes, if we look back to 2007, Google invested $3.9 million into 23andMe. And one of the women who founded 23andMe is married to the guy that founded Google.
Oh.
And Google is tied very closely with YouTube, as we all know.
Yeah.
And
well, that's
if
Google.
that isn't Ren and Stimpy enough for y'all, the woman who created 23andMe is the sister of the CFO of YouTube.
Wasajinsky, what's her name? Wiki Scum Bucket.
I don't know.
Hello, YouTube people.
So
we're on there.
Google,
that's
literally
knows
everything.
We're still small enough that we're not paid attention to. But you hear people who are larger, and man, YouTube combs their stuff.
Yeah.
In it now.
So
and there's another question. Another thing. Also, have you noticed, like, YouTube is not the same YouTube it was 2 years ago? Remember when you'd get on there and you'd see different things, and now you get on there and you don't see any kind of randomized stuff. It's all
based on what you searched for.
No, it's not even that. It's you'll see something that you subscribe to, and then you'll see CNN, Fox, MSN.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And so it's all these people left watching network television because for whatever reason they left. Either it wasn't entertaining to them, or they
convenience,
or they just got fed up with the lies or the fear mongering. They've gotten kind of radical on the fear mongering side, which I think we're knee deep in that now. And I think we're going to find out over the next year just how bad the news has sold us down the river to make a buck. But that's all YouTube. YouTube pushes that at you now. That's pushed at you, and that's kind of so YouTube is becoming the new network TV. And so we're now things like, I mean, BitChute's slowly on the rise, but we've got to it's probably years out from any kind of user-friendly service. But
so
YouTube,
Google
is good,
and 23andMe and YouTube are all very much connected. Google had said it wouldn't sell our search history information, and they do all the time now. It's well known.
I'm pretty sure that's all they do.
What happens when 23andMe starts selling our DNA to companies, say, I don't know, in China that are doing cloning?
There might be another me running around. But then again, we've got to hit the next point. So we see this all as evil, which it is. But what if through this cloning, what if they don't clone living beings, but they clone a non-living you that they can test medicine on?
Well, that depends. Is that non-living me got a conscious? Is it a
Well, what I
conscious
mean by
human?
non-living you is it's a body without the software. It's just the hardware that they can test medications on to find the ideal medication.
Well, see, now quantum computing solves a lot of that, because a lot of that is you need a ton of test subjects. My concern is they're going to come out with something
for the next
that
50 years. Quantum computing's only going to be used by the government and the military to kill or rob you blind. It's not going to be used for anything decent for, well, at least 20 years.
Now, there is a group working right now to see if they can get the correct algorithm together with the correct question regarding the best treatment for the coronavirus. If we could nail down the symptoms, the disease symptoms better. They're changing every day. The problem is it's mutating.
Injecting Lysol and Clorox into your body and standing under a suntan lamp?
Yeah, that's what they said. President Trump said. That's not what he said, but that's what the media is saying. He said. I actually watched that. I never watched them. I actually watched that one.
It's Betsy. It doesn't matter. Both sides are going to go radical on each other all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
I think time the rest of the nation wakes up and realize that I am right. It is.
What if
the very time we don't need what we have?
What if something happens in the future and say you need a large amount of your young DNA to
or an organ
participate, and then 23andMe tries to sell you back your young DNA for, I don't know, $20,000?
Oh, yeah.
What if they get this anti-aging or reverse aging right, but you need your young DNA to do it?
What if they could harvest your stem cells when you're born without killing you and holding on to them?
People do that with umbilical cords.
Yeah.
There is a bank somewhere. Talk about a terrible job. There is a bank that you can pay a yearly fee to store your umbilical cord.
Really?
Yeah.
You think that was available when we were born?
No, I didn't see it until I think it was Grace. And I was like, you want me to what?
What's that?
Like, yeah, in case they get leukemia or something, then they have their own stem cells and then they can,
What's the?
I was like, well, what's that?
What's the annual fee of your?
Absurd.
It
was like $14,000 a year. It was absurd. I don't know what it is now, but then I was like,
and then what
are
do they
you
do if
kidding
there's
me?
one bad year? Do they message you a picture of them holding it over a garbage? For
you see what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they don't actually save it? What if they mismark it and I get someone else's umbilical cord? Okay, umbilical cords are gross to begin with. People.
What if they give those umbilical cords to the Cannibal Club and they make fried calamari out of them?
Great. What if they make face wash out of the umbilical cords of people who didn't pay the rent?
Oh, man. Well, how about the schmucks being used in lotion?
Yeah.
That
was on Ellen. Did you know that? There was a clip of Sandra Bullock talking on Ellen, and Ellen is like, tell us what they put on your face. And she's like, well, the esthetician makes a bunch of needle holes. And and Ellen's like, no, tell us that they put circumcision skin on your face.
Yeah, schmucks. They just.
And Sandra Bullock kind of laughs and goes, I don't get into what they use. I just know it works.
Imagine that guy's just got a shish kebab stick with a whole bunch of schmucks on it in a blender. And he's just.
Gross.
As it's whirring around, blending it. A little bit of that. A little bit of
So gross.
Lotion, whip it all up.
So I think two takeaways from this show. One, I would think due to the change in programming and the control of the programming, it's always been around. During war times, the United States funded a lot of Disney, and they said it was because they would uplift the troops. But if you watch really old Disney films, they're very much propaganda.
Oh yeah, well, they're propaganda. And let's look at during World War One, they started calling the Germans the Huns.
Mm-hmm.
Aryans. Huns was a horse. They were like kind of Mongols. They were from the steppe. All those horse riders from the steppe were extremely efficient soldiers in the day. But they started calling them the Huns, the conquering Huns, and it's all propaganda.
Right.
The way they declared the Kaiser and all that, it's all propaganda. There's that old saying, I think it was it might have been Churchill. They said the first thing to die in war is the truth.
Yeah. So, and then you go Operation Mockingbird. I still think very much still going on today. 100%.
Anderson Cooper.
Larger than life.
Just look at Anderson Cooper. Look at where he interned. Yeah. And it's right there. You can look at where he interned. Go to where did Anderson Cooper intern on the internet, and it's written right there, black and white.
Yes. So I don't think it's a far reach for us to think that perhaps these same people who did the Mockingbird project and who helped fund the propaganda through Disney haven't figured out that these frequencies can be used to inoculate us by just giving us, it's like a vaccination is what it made me think of. A little bit of the active ingredient. It makes us a little sick, but then we're used to it. And then a little bit more. And what if our children are being inoculated long term to be used to a particular narrative?
What you need to do is you need to sit down with Grace every time a new hot song comes out and have her write down the lyrics for you.
What did they say right there? Yeah. And this particular, I'm a paper chaser. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. I didn't want to play it on this recording because it's obscene. And we really don't know who our audience is. And I'm not part of Mockingbird. Thank you. But it's obscene, but I'll send it to you.
If the price is right.
I will be. No, I cannot be bought.
I am for sale. CIA, Cannibal Club, FBI. I just have to let y'all know.
And then my second takeaway.
I'll give you good rates. I'll be competitive. And
people,
almost anything you want.
People, do not send a vial full of your DNA to 23andMe. They're going to sell that shit.
You can make me into a spaghetti or a pizza. I won't touch little kids either violently or the other way. But I'll lie. I'll say whatever you want. I'll hold up the paper and I'll say, the CIA is wonderful and anything to legal rights. And the FBI never committed any fraudulent acts. Yeah. On a side note, did you watch that Waco yet on Netflix? I haven't watched it yet, but I've studied Waco off and on.
No, I have been binging. I've been binging on catastrophe shows and series.
Waco and Ruby Ridge are signs that, originally in our in the founding of our nation, the federal government was supposed to have 0 armed, non-military personnel. We weren't, in the original founding, we weren't even supposed to have a standing army. It was designed so we did not have that, because those are the means to subjugate the people. And the one thing they really tried to stay away from, much to Hamilton's dismay, was to not have a tyrannical government. But, by any measure, we have a tyrannical government. Some are more tyrannical. I think it was last year in England. You know how many people were arrested for offensive Twitter posts?
I started following some of that, and not even
numbers.
offensive.
Do you know how many people were arrested? Over 3,000 for Twitter posts, for things they said, for words.
But was it most of those arrests because they went against like the policy or something? Is that what those were about? Because they weren't even like offensive in the sense that we find offensive. Like,
they might have said something as simple as, they don't believe that trans women are women, or they taught a pug to give a Nazi salute. 3,000, over 3,000 arrests for
that's nuts.
Social media posts.
They need a tattletale website where you can tattletale on their Twitters, and then that guy can be inundated with penis pictures.
My one regret for right now is that on that Bill de Blasio's website, there's not a picture of my bumhole.
Now, how exactly would you obtain said picture?
Well, I was wondering, I could prop a foot up on the counter, come around behind, but I'd have to have the mirror looking at the face of my camera, and then the other hand have to go between my legs to push the button. You know how Facebook has that little circle you got to push? I could have done it like that. I could have sat the phone down on a chair, hovered over it, got a good spread, and touched the button like that. There are many ways I could have done it. I could have hired a photographer, a professional.
People are out of work right now, Jared. We could have
had a boudoir set up for me, like those boudoir pictures the ladies take for their husbands. And I would have taken this for dear de Blasio.
That's fantastic.
I'm
so glad that they did that. And I have never been happy that anyone has sent a picture like that before in my life. I find myself reverenced in this, because never before has it had the same meaning that it does now.
And it has all the meaning. I just imagine that poor bastard. Day one, he comes in, a stalwart servant of the
I'm here to do my job.
A man of the state who in later life might give the Nuremberg defense, but a man of the state protecting his community from the evil COVID-19. And he sits down, and the first ding that comes in, he takes his mouse and clicks it, and it's a big, humongous penis at close range, just right there staring at him. He's looking eye to eye.
He's trying to figure out, where's the person? What am I looking at?
And I mean, it's all right there, and only the head's in focus, and the hips and the public hair is blurry because the focus, And then there were probably guys that got entertaining with it, maybe drew a little face, maybe got some googly eyes, a little, like you could cut the top off of one of those little troll dolls and put the hair on there and have the hair doing its thing. You could do so much. Now,
too much.
do not take any of my fine ideas and send this to the NYC 311. You know what? I think just to ensure that they don't do that, I should find the number to make sure that people don't do that. What is the phone number for that? Dun, 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 dun. Now it's called 311, but I'm sure there's a phone number out there. But yes, do not. It would be a travesty.
Yeah, we discourage any kind of uprising like that. So don't.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Yes. Yes, keep talking while I look for this. Do not fraudulently send their, oh goodness, they've got a website. Oh, they do.
Where you can send pictures to the website. See, that you run into IEP problems.
Do not.
Your IP address is there, and
do not go to portal.311.nyc.gov. Do not go there and send that. And I think there's another number. Do not send pictures of genitalia or pornography to 212-639-9675. Do not. This is a public service announcement. Do not. Whatever you do not, I repeat, do not send pictures of your genitalia to 212-639-9675. Do not.
And that's the show.
Yes. And also, do not send pictures of your dog's genitalia to that. Let's leave all genitalia off that. And bad jokes. Yes, just any of that stuff. And do not dress your genitalia up in little fake wigs and googly eyes and send those pictures that you take in your boudoir set to 212-639-9675. Do not.
Don't, people.
Whatever you do. Whatever. You do.
Anyway.
Yes, don't get drunk and have a late night chat with them. But thanks for joining us. The lizards are probably...
They're taking over.
Taking over? Man, they've taken over. Well, there's even... We're talking on Zoom right now. And there's nothing but conspiracy with Zoom. Zoom filters through a company that was started by a guy that's got ties to China.
Well, did you hear the drones? Anyway, next show. Next show.
Oh,
thanks for joining.
No, next show we've got Heather on.
Oh yes, Afterlife.
Yes, we talked to her one time before on the old show, and it hasn't been reposted, so we kind of want to cover that, but we want to expand on it and make it better. Heather is a wonderful, amazing lady, and we're going to chat with her over the next couple months. We're going to get Feather back in. Just all these wonderful ladies that deal with kind of the afterlife, mediumship, things like that. We want to dig into that because...
Yeah, I have so many questions.
So
many questions.
Yes, lots of questions.
Awesome.
Yes, thanks for joining us. And, keep your genitals in your pants and away from the cameras.
Have a great week.
Yes, have a great week.